You're not ready to win this year as much as you guys want it. He's bad. He's terrible. Let's move on as fast as possible.
So if we're going to see Jared Goff play well, it's this year.
I think you're right. Put the camera on that hands. Look at that guy. Look at that smile. Nobody wants to hear about patience. Be patient. They're actually trying to build something, Maz. And
why did they not draft any quarterback?
look at his tiny little hands.
We're on the map. Oh my God!
So you got a year of Jared Goff. The last time I was here, a lot of people, including some people on the staff, weren't very happy with me because I just don't think Jared Goff's good. Okay?
Yeah.
He had a magical year with the Rams. He had a pretty good year with the Rams, and then he kind of turned into a turnover machine. I mean, that's just the way it was. And then through the first 10 weeks of last year, he looked like the Jared Goff of the previous couple of years. Turnover machine, et cetera, et cetera. And then late in the year, I don't want to say that he was good.
Solid.
He wasn't bad.
Right.
Is that fair? Am I being fair to Jared Goff?
Well, he got himself Josh Reynolds, a guy that he was, that he knew. Because let's face it, he didn't have anyone else to throw to. But when he got Josh Reynolds here, his game went up a little.
So, Maz, I think you are picking up on what I'm dropping off right now. You heard Corey talk about all of a sudden those weapons that he has.
Yep.
Is there anything great there? No. But I think I'm on what more needs to be said. Mm-hmm. I really like Cephas as a depth guy. I do. I've said that 2 years ago, a year ago. I'll say it again now. And obviously the promise of Jameson, right? I'm intrigued to see, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm intrigued to see if there is another level for Jared Goff. And if I'm being fair, I'm willing to give him that opportunity without just going, he's bad, he's terrible, let's move on as fast as possible.
Right.
Am I an idiot for doing that, or are you guys in the same position?
I'm in a similar position. I think Jared Goff right now is what he is. If Jared could have took that next level, it would have been with the Rams, and they wouldn't have to give up 2 future first and a third round pick to upgrade their quarterback. So that's kind of how I feel about Jared. But to your point, Sean, I think now he has a plethora of weapons that he didn't have last year. So if we're going to see Jared Goff play well, it's this year with these weapons, with that offensive line and that run game. Because in Jared Goff's future, when has he been at his best? When they can run the football.
Let me add this in, Sean, before you hop in. That wide receiver room, that is not a bad room
it's
now.
Not.
Truly.
It's not.
It's a very competitive room. How many better combined receiver group? I think they're better than the Dallas Cowboy receivers.
Well, yeah, in terms of depth,
CeeDee Lamb, depth-wise, they got something.
Yeah.
And that offensive line.
But to Sean's point, I think his point was also like you don't have that dude.
Not yet.
You have you have a lot of guys.
Yes.
But the Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb. He's that dude.
He is.
So Amon-Ra, I think, can be, but we have to see more out of him to be that dude.
And I mean, look, I love Jameson. I do. I don't know. That was one of those picks. I couldn't believe people were mad. I'll be honest with you, and I wish I was here to talk about that because Lord knows I pounded on the Lions for a lot of things in the past. If anybody's followed my career, I don't get mad when you take arguably the best guy at his position.
Right.
Now, you got to do your due diligence. You know, you got to talk to the doctors. You have to see where things are at. But to me, position of need, arguably the best guy at his position, you're not ready to win this year as much as you guys want it. They're not ready to win this year. And if you don't believe me, see the linebacking core. Why not? Mm-hmm. I just thought that was listen, before somebody yells at me, well, that was a luxury pick, and the Lions aren't in a position to grab a luxury pick. I'm going to disagree with that. Again, arguably the best wide receiver in the entire class, and you got the future to wait for him. I didn't have a problem with that draft pick, man. I think the sky's the limit for that guy. I really do.
Yeah, and that's how the NFL's going. Speed kills. And you got the fastest wide receiver in the draft, and you can even go back to Aiden Hutchinson. They got arguably the best offensive weapon and the best defensive player in the draft. That's the parallel right there.
You got it. Maz, you and I have grown up in an era of football this game has changed so dramatically. And if you don't believe me, go on YouTube and listen to Pat Summerall call games and all that stuff. I think you're right. We can go into the whole Summerall thing, but watch a game from like the 90s and watch a game now. I heard Tony Dungy say this a few years ago, and I have screamed this for probably 5 or 6 years. The NFL today is, what can your quarterback and your passing weapons do to the opposition, and what can your defense do to pressure the opposition's quarterback? It's as simple as that. That's what the league is today.
When we were young, it was running backs.
Yep.
Give
Absolutely.
the ball to Emmitt Smith. Now, forget it. The running backs, what are they lasting? 3 years, maybe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the wide receivers are your now behind quarterbacks as your second highest paid position on the team.
Matthew Stafford won the Super Bowl. Who's his running back? Cam Akers coming off an Achilles injury. So they need Cam Akers. Like you said, it's an offensively driven league. You got to get after the quarterback. You got to protect the quarterback.
And that's what I think, to that point.
Yep.
That's what I think Brad Holmes is trying to do in playing this long game. Again, lest we forget that they have the extra pick going into 2023. And listen, I'll be the first guy to say this. The last word that a Lion fan wants to hear is patience. I don't care what age you are, okay? You can be an old dude like me. You can be a young dude who just hit his 19th birthday, like that handsome fellow right there. Put the camera on that handsome. Look at that guy. Look at that smile. Nobody wants to hear about patience, because we've had to be patient with this franchise our entire life, no matter who you are. But that's where we're at right now with this team. Be patient. They're actually trying to build something, Maz. And I, for one, I appreciate it. I can understand it. There's no quick fix with this team.
But I wish you were here for when Scott Bischoff was here and we were doing the draft, because I would have asked you this question.
All right.
And I haven't heard your opinion on this,
All
so
right.
I'm anxious. I think everyone here is going to know what I ask you. You have the second round pick. You also have a third round pick, okay? You've moved picks around already, okay? You have Jared Goff as your starting quarterback.
Uh-oh.
You have no backups. And the quarterback class, okay, it was a B class maybe. But why the hell are you reaching for a Josh Pascal with your second pick, another injured person, when you could have had maybe your quarterback in Malik Willis? And I'm just going to throw his name out there, and you two, of course, are going to call me an idiot again. But I just, why did they not draft any quarterback to put on this team?
Maz, I don't know if you're going to be surprised. I understand that, and I was wondering that myself. Why not? Why not? Your stud doesn't have to come from a top 10 pick.
No.
It doesn't have to. I know it increases the chances. There's no guarantee. But this is where I go back to, and I know it sounds boring, maybe, just maybe, their scouting staff looked at these guys and said, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
I don't like Desmond. I don't like Malik. I don't like, fill in the blank. Maybe that's what I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
What harm would it have been? It's not your first round pick.
I don't think you're wasting a lot. I can tell you this. I think you guys know, at least you do, Maz, because we did it a lot, and Adam and I would do this together. I'm a mockaholic.
Yeah.
I am. I'm a mockaholic. I'm doing mock drafts for the 2023 draft right now. You can do it online. I can't tell you how many drafts I found myself taking one of those quarterbacks at what would have been 34, or if you make the deal down, 36, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Would I have taken a flyer? Absolutely. I would have. What about you, young man?
No, I wouldn't have. I disagree. Just because the Lions right now, and I get Tennessee can afford, they can go take a Malik Willis. If it doesn't work out, they still had a great team around, and they don't need to worry about it. Josh Pascal was in a reach at that pick. That's where I'll disagree with you, because if you're talking building this defensive line and you saw them struggle in the preseason game with the starters in the game, there's still a lot of work to do on that defensive line. I was kind of sitting at home thinking to myself, where's Josh Pascal? Like, we need Josh Pascal out here. So I get, now that Josh is injured, you pose the question, well, we could have had Malik Willis. Let these things play out, please. Because, again, if you're in Brad Holmes, if he knew this, he would have took him. But if you think Malik Willis is going to be a generational or a starting quarterback, a good starting quarterback, then you take him. But if you don't think that can happen, you think Jared's better than Malik and will be for a couple years, why would you take him? Like, what's the point of Malik sitting behind Jared Goff? Whether I can have Josh Pascal, who can affect the game on a game-to-game basis.
Yeah, he's doing a great job right now.
Well, you didn't know he'd be injured. So
yeah, they did. He was always injured.
He was injured, but you didn't know the sports hernia would pop up as well. Like that came out of
before the sports hernia. It was his knee again.
My issue with the draft, and again, consider the source because not only am I a mockaholic, but I've done so many of these draft shows in the past.
Right.
Is sometimes people get hung up on really dumb things. Okay, Joe Burrow a couple years ago. Remember, look at his tiny little hands.
Kenny Pickett this year.
Kenny Pickett's my point. What did Kenny Pickett do wrong?
Nothing.
Like you know what? It's always fascinating to me. And I'm not pointing the finger at Scott Bischoff, but it's always fascinating to me when you talk to some of these draft beatniks. And what's the line that they always fall back to? The tape don't lie. But they end up picking guys apart for... I came this close to swearing, and I promised myself I was not going to do it. They end up picking guys apart for crap that has nothing to do with what the tape shows.
Right.
And I've never... What was wrong with Kenny Pickett? And again, I'm not being a hypocrite here, all right? I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett's going to be great based on what we saw in week 1. But Kenny Pickett is a guy that I think had some unfair things held against him. Why not take a chance on a guy like that?
And
right?
JD Smith in the chat is a great comment. He says, look how well Maz's theory, and this isn't your theory, but he's just saying your name, worked out for Green Bay with Love. Like, hey, take a chance.
Why not?
Well, look how it's working out. Now
Yeah.
you're like, shh, I can't swear on the air, but you're like, crap. I mean, I should have taken a wide receiver. I should have taken a skill position player. So for me, the only thing I have an issue with is Malik Willis at 2 at the time, because no, you're not taking Malik Willis at 2. But second, third round Maz, I can't really. We're not going to argue over it. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't have been bad to reach, but again, I just don't see it as.
The Steelers did all right for themselves. They got themselves Pickett and Pickens, and you're going to hear those names in this upcoming year and the years following.
There's another guy.
Two guys that fell.
Pickens is.
How the heck?
Yeah, two guys that fell. And who gets them? Winning teams.
Yeah.
Like the Steelers.
But they can afford those guys, too. Like, you take Pickens, all right. You take Kenny Pickett, all right.
They really can't afford it, Jeff, because when they don't make the playoffs, they're held to a way higher standard than us. We're happy with 7 wins here.
Well,
we're trying to get off the ground as well.
I hate to be boring. This is where I'm going to repeat the line. You have to trust your scouting staff. If your scouting staff thinks that Juicy Jeff at 34, I don't know how this guy fell to 34. We got to grab this guy. I'm not saying he's ready for 2023, but I'm telling you, guys, be patient. Let's have one more year of fill in the blank. This guy's going to be. Then you jump,
and that's what it was.
Jump.
That's what it was to me, Sean. I think he saw Josh Pascal available in the second round. He said, this guy's more highly rated than Malik, any of these guys. And I don't think it was more so he didn't like Malik. I just think he had Josh Pascal higher on his board. I think that's all it was.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a shot at Malik, but again, you're taking the player you feel is better.
I'm just saying, let's just put him on the Lions right now. Let's say they got him in the 3rd round.
Okay.
Let's say they moved up and they grabbed him. You would be, as a Lion fan, you would be at those practices and you would be looking at him saying, wow, we got it. We got it. We did it. We're on the map. Oh, my God. Sean, am I wrong?
No, that's exactly. That's what we do. We've lived through it.